If Charlie Munger were alive today, watching Trump's cabinet shakeup unfold, I guarantee he'd say something that would make everyone uncomfortable. And he'd be absolutely right. The legendary investor who turned Berkshire Hathaway into a $900 billion empire didn't just understand money. He understood systems. He understood incentives. And he understood exactly how organizations fail and what's happening with Trump's cabinet right now. It's a masterclass in every mental model Munger warned us about. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see Trump's cabinet situation, and honestly, any leadership decision, through the eyes of one of the greatest thinkers of our time. Let me catch you up real quick. Trump's second-term cabinet has been eventful. Pete Hegseth at Defense, confirmed by a tie-breaking vote after controversies over sharing classified information on Signal. Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence, facing serious questions about her past statements. RFK Jr. at Health and Human Services, with his vaccine skepticism. Kash Patel nominated for FBI Director, with allegations of promoting conspiracy theories. Then there's the turnover rumors. Reports say the White House is preparing for potential cabinet shakeups after Trump's first year. Kristi Noem at Homeland Security might be on thin ice. Chris Wright at Energy. Speculations swirling. Some picks sailed through. Marco Rubio got 99-0 confirmation. Others barely squeaked by. And one, Matt Gaetz, withdrew before even getting to a vote. Now here's what makes this fascinating from a Munger perspective. This isn't just political drama. This is a live case study in organizational design, incentive structures, and decision-making under uncertainty. Charlie Munger spent 60-plus years studying why smart people make terrible decisions. And what he'd see here? It's textbook. Munger's first mental model was his favorite, inversion. He borrowed it from mathematician Carl Jacobi. The idea? Instead of asking, how do I succeed? Ask, how do I fail? So let's invert the cabinet question. Instead of asking, how do you build a great cabinet? Let's ask, how do you guarantee a cabinet fails? Munger would list, prioritize loyalty over competence, ignore track records, create unclear lines of authority, surround yourself with people who won't challenge you, make decisions based on short-term media cycles, ignore institutional knowledge. Now, I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but look at the pattern. Multiple nominees with thin resumes for their positions. Multiple controversies before confirmation. Multiple senators from the president's own party voting against nominees. Munger would say, if you wanted to design a system that maximizes the probability of failure, you'd be checking a lot of boxes. That's not political. That's just probability. Charlie Munger was obsessed with incentives. He'd say, never ever think about something else when you should be thinking about the power of incentives. So what are the incentives here? For Trump, he wants people who won't resist him, people who are personally loyal, people who will execute his agenda without pushback. That's a rational incentive structure if you're the president. For the nominees, they want power, influence, legacy. They want to be in the room where it happens. Strong incentive to say yes, even if the job might not fit their expertise. For senators, if they're Republicans, voting against Trump's picks means facing his wrath and possibly a primary challenge. If they're Democrats, voting for anyone means getting attacked by their base. Munger would immediately spot the problem. Everyone's individual incentives are pulling away from the collective goal of good governance. It's what he called a Lollapalooza effect. Multiple psychological forces combining to produce an extreme outcome. When personal loyalty beats institutional competence, when political survival beats qualified appointments, you get exactly what we're seeing. One of Munger's core principles, know what you know, and more importantly, know what you don't know. He'd look at this cabinet and ask a simple question. Does each person's circle of competence overlap with their responsibility? Let's be honest. A TV host running the Department of Defense with an $800+ billion budget and 3 million personnel. A former congresswoman with no intelligence experience leading all 18 intelligence agencies. A wellness influencer as Surgeon General. I'm not saying these people aren't smart. I'm saying Munger would ask, have they demonstrated the specific competence required for these specific jobs? Munger and Warren Buffett passed on thousands of investment opportunities because they were outside their circle of competence. They left billions on the table, and they became two of the richest people on earth because they had that discipline. Munger would say, the biggest risk isn't picking the wrong person, it's picking someone who doesn't know they're wrong. Munger studied cognitive biases like a scientist studies diseases. He knew that humans are wired to see what they want to see, confirmation bias. Attribute success to themselves and failure to others, self-serving bias. Avoid information that challenges their worldview. Look at how this plays out. If you support Trump, you see these picks as outsiders who'll shake up corrupt institutions. Brilliant strategic moves. The controversies are manufactured by a hostile media. If you oppose Trump, you see these picks as dangerous ideologues who will destroy institutional competence. Reckless gambles. The controversies are disqualifying red flags. Munger would say, you're both partly right and mostly prisoners of your own psychology. Here's what he'd focus on instead. Track records, base rates. What percentage of cabinet members with similar backgrounds succeeded in the past? What's the failure rate when you prioritize loyalty over expertise? The data would tell us something uncomfortable for everyone. Munger was obsessed with second-order and third-order effects. Not just what happens next, but what happens after that, and after that. First-order thinking. I need loyal people who will execute my vision. Second-order thinking. But if I only hire loyalists, I lose people who will tell me when I'm wrong. Which means I'll make more mistakes. Which means more failures. Which means more pressure to find scapegoats. Which means more turnover. You see the spiral? Trump's first term had record-breaking turnover. This was supposed to be more stable. But now we're hearing about potential shakeups after year one. That's not left-wing media. That's CNN reporting White House preparations for changes. Munger would say, when you optimize for the wrong variable, loyalty instead of competence, you get a system that's designed to be unstable. Here's what makes Munger's perspective so powerful. He didn't care about Democrat or Republican. He cared about systems that work. And here's his brutal assessment, the thing that would make everyone uncomfortable. Both parties do this. Obama had cabinet members who were political allies with thin resumes. Bush did, Clinton did. It's not a Trump problem. It's a system problem. The Senate confirmation process has become theater. The incentives are broken. We pretend we're selecting the best people, but we're really selecting the most politically viable people. Munger would say, until you fix the incentive structure, nothing changes. The names change, the party changes, the outcome stays the same. So what would Munger do differently? Based on his writings and speeches, here's what I think. 1. Increase the cost of failure. Make cabinet members personally accountable for measurable outcomes. Not political outcomes, actual performance metrics. 2. Require demonstration of competence. Show me 10 years of relevant expertise. Show me a track record. Show me you've managed something at scale. 3. Eliminate the loyalty bias. Munger hired people who would tell him he was wrong. That's how Berkshire avoided major catastrophes. The president needs people who will say, "Sir, this is a terrible idea." 4. Use base rate thinking. What percentage of cabinet secretaries with X background succeed? Let data guide decisions, not feelings. 5. Build in redundancy. Have strong deputies. Have career civil servants who provide continuity. Don't make everything depend on one person. These aren't revolutionary ideas. They're boring, proven principles from someone who built one of history's most successful organizations. Here's why this matters beyond politics. Every single one of you watching this runs something. Maybe a business, maybe a team, maybe just your own career, and you're making the same mistakes Trump is making. The same mistakes Obama made. The same mistakes every leader makes. You hire people you like instead of people who will challenge you. You optimize for loyalty instead of competence. You ignore warning signs because acknowledging them is uncomfortable. You let your ego override your judgment. Munger's mental models aren't about politics. They're about reality. And reality doesn't care about your political affiliation. If you're a Trump supporter, these mental models will help you build better businesses, make better investments, and lead better teams. If you're a Trump critic, these same models will help you avoid the exact same mistakes when your side is in power. That's the beauty of first principles thinking. It works regardless of tribal affiliation. Charlie Munger died in 2023 at age 99. He spent his entire adult life building what he called a latticework of mental models, a way of thinking that draws from psychology, economics, mathematics, physics, biology. His goal wasn't to be right about politics. It was to be less wrong about reality. And if he were watching this cabinet situation unfold, the controversies, the turnover rumors, the slim confirmations, I think he'd shake his head and say exactly what he said about so many other situations. It's not supposed to be easy. Anyone who finds it easy is stupid. Building a great cabinet is hard. It requires honest assessment of competence, willingness to be challenged, long-term thinking over short-term wins, systems that reward outcomes, not loyalty. Trump's cabinet situation is just a symptom. The disease is a broken decision-making system that's been broken for decades. But here's the good news. You can fix your decision-making system. You can apply these mental models to your life, your business, your investments. Start with inversion. How would I fail? Then check your incentives. What am I really optimizing for? Stay in your competence zone. Fight your biases. Think in systems, not snapshots. That's what Munger would say, and that's what separates the good thinkers from the great ones. Call to action, 1230 to 1300. If you found this valuable, here's what I want you to do. First, subscribe and hit the bell. I'm breaking down Munger's mental models and applying them to current events, business, investing, and life decisions. Second, comment below. Which mental model hit you hardest? Which one are you guilty of ignoring? Third, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Left or right doesn't matter. Good thinking transcends politics. We are the Rational Observer, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay rational out there.